Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals and Kim and Kanye. We end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 113. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we're going to have one more episode next week, and then we'll be off on February 5th. So that's our 3 weeks on, 1 week off schedule. And that's I looked nice. Up the dates.
I did look at the calendar sometime this week because I was like, what all has been delayed? Grammys were delayed.
Yeah.
The Oscars are still when they were originally scheduled for in March.
They're stubborn. You could edit the calendar too if you want, ever.
I tried to, but I never know how to work it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So both you and I, we got a ton of snow on Sunday.
You got more snow. I got 2 inches of like hard packed ice. So it took forever to shovel that shit, but it was ridiculous.
We got like 7 or 8 inches, and then I haven't shoveled out yet. I really haven't because it's too cold.
Yeah, it only started melting today, really, for me.
I should have given in and hired somebody to do my driveway. I parked the cars on the street, and I think that screwed us because now we can't get our cars out. There's too much ice under them, and they're not pulling out. So I'm hoping it'll melt in a day or two.
It won't. It's supposed to stay really cold.
Okay.
So you're either going to have to, like, shovel it out or I don't know what. I mean, it's going to be super cold.
I mean, I ordered Instacart. I did yesterday, and I was like, leave the groceries at the top of the driveway. And then my son had arranged a ride to school today because it was supposed to be a 2-hour delay, and then they just canceled school. So he's probably not going to have school till next week anyway. So
yeah, I mean, kids in Virginia, they have it pretty good. They get a decent amount of snow days built into the system every year.
They do. I'm glad now, too, because with Youngkin's bullshit, you know that a bunch of the redneck kids are not going to be wearing masks now. And they used to be totally mandatory in my son's school. I went to an event at his school, and I was real pleased with everyone being masked.
But Youngkin is insane. Remember last year, everyone was like, oh, he's not like Trump.
It won't be that bad. Like That's what they said about Trump before he got in. It won't be that bad.
He was totally telegraphing that he was going to be this Trump DeSantis guy.
And he's going to tell people what they could teach.
Yeah, and he's a white supremacist.
He's pandering to the white supremacists. It's terrible. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to dig out, but I don't know when that's going to be. And we haven't said much about it because we didn't want to jinx it, and we were not that hopeful about it either. But we moved to a new server on Celebrity, and they upgraded the whole back end. This is huge for us because it's been so many years since we've done anything because we're just scared, and we've tried to do stuff before, and it's failed a couple different times. But we had that happen last weekend, and most of the stuff is the same. There's some little glitchy stuff with the comments, but I hope I could get that fixed in a week or two.
Yeah, I mean, and most of the stress for you and I is on the back end because little things are so different. Yeah. It's driving me up the wall.
I'm sorry. That's why I didn't want to switch. The server was like, you really need it. It's overdue. And I was like, okay, next year. And like...
I hate change, and like just the fonts are driving me up the wall.
I'm so sorry. It is a lot different for us on the back end. I want people to know why we haven't changed our design in so many years. It's because we like things to be the same. We like them to be easy. I used to be a usability specialist in my pre-child life, back in the early 2000s. You want things to be equally weighted and to be easy to read. And I've seen so many websites and, of course, always our phones, the software, whatever. When it updates, it's worse and you can't get used to it. I give my son the same phone that I have whenever I buy a new phone. Like twice I bought a new phone. And I'm like, you have to show me how this works.
Yeah, it's just a lot. It's going to take some weeks to get used to.
It is, but at least we're able to do the main stuff that we've been doing. Yeah. And it doesn't delay us that much. Yeah.
And this changeover, it went pretty smoothly.
It did. I mean, people can't reply on their phones. It's not always saving the username and email. I thought I fixed it, but I didn't. But, it's fine. You can still comment. It still works. It's still publishing, you know. All right, let's talk about the royals. So this is so predictable. We talked about this last week. Prince Andrew is getting more press for the Virginia Giuffre case. That is international news now. So the British press is desperately trying to use anything they can to smear Prince Harry. And the only thing they had on him was that he supposedly demanded police security when he visited the UK. But Harry issued a statement almost immediately after that came out, explaining what the issue was and why it was wrong.
Right. It was so obvious what they were doing, too.
Yes.
Basically, as soon as the Sunday papers started to come out, Harry was right there with the statement saying, I filed for a judicial review in September and I'm still waiting the results for that. And he's like, my offer was always to repay for police security. I didn't want it free. It's not like that. So yeah, the British media has just freaked out nonstop over this because they were all prepared to smear him because, he was demanding police security. And Harry just took the wind out of their sails. Yes. So now they're just desperately trying to figure out why it's all his fault and why he's terrible for something.
So he said his security was, quote, compromised due to the absence of police protection after the Diana statue unveiling. So there's probably something serious that happened to him that he's not even talking about.
Omid Scobie says that paparazzi kind of swarmed his car.
Okay.
I don't think that was big, massive terrorist threat, but it probably frightened him and it probably made him wonder, okay, if that can happen, what else could happen? What could happen if I bring my wife and children to this country?
It would be so much worse with them there.
Right.
After that, when Harry defended himself, of course, they doubled down and criticized him more. The Daily Mail got some retired Metropolitan Police officer who said, well, the police aren't just available for hire, and they're the ones who decide when the royals need security. And then Dan Wooten criticized Harry for wanting security for his family. The way he spun it was just outrageous, as if Harry was hurting his grandma by refusing to bring his wife and kids there. It was just so bad.
Yeah, Wooten was saying that I didn't analyze it that much because Dan Wooten is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And he's hard right wing. So I think Wooten's argument was that Harry knows that the Queen can't really do anything. So by saying that Harry won't bring his kids to the UK, then it's bad for the Queen because Harry is trying to emotionally manipulate her about something that she can't even help. I think that's what he was arguing. It was strange. And as I said, they were just grasping at straws after Harry's statement because they were all prepared they all had their talking points.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff is still on the internet. They didn't manage to erase everything. They were just trying to attack him for wanting privileges, like he was still royal or something.
So they erased some of it though?
Yeah.
After Harry's statement?
Yep.
Okay. All right, because they realized they looked terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, the original headline was Harry demands police security. Think of the taxpayers. And Harry was like, no, I was trying to pay for it myself.
So after that, we heard that Prince Charles wants them to know they're invited to his house and they can stay with him if they come to the UK. But it's not very likely that they're going to come since they can't get security and this issue is still up in the air.
Yeah, and Charles was just trying to look like the diplomat. And, I mean, obviously, Clarence House leaked that about Charles.
Yeah.
A nice positive story of, the poor grandfather, he can't wait to meet his young granddaughter, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, when's the last time we saw him with his other grandkids?
Yeah, he barely saw Archie when Archie was around, and the Cambridge kids, I mean, Charles barely sees them.
Yeah, I haven't seen pictures except the staged ones that everybody's in of him with the kids. So after that, Angela Levin, who's batshit, she's a royal commentator, she somehow found a way to blame Meghan for not taking Charles up on the offer to stay at his house. That's not their dynamic. You were writing about that. Meghan tries to make everybody get along, and Harry's the one who's like, no, fuck them. And we've heard Harry say stuff like this. Like, Harry has basically been very clear about his position.
Especially when it comes to his father. Like, in the Oprah interview, Harry was seething about his father. He was still angry at his father.
The way they treat him after his mom died, he was clear in that Oprah interview, too, that he's worried about his wife's safety, and they're still doing it to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Harry is fed up, and Meghan's like, maybe we could just go and it'll be fine. And Harry's like, no, goddammit.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how they are. That's her personality, too. Like, she's always so sweet, try to get everybody to get along.
She's like, maybe enough time has passed. Maybe it'll be fine. Nope. Harry is the one shutting it down.
I believe that, too. So last week, we talked about the fact that Prince Andrew had his military affiliations and his patronage is stripped from him, and that he's not going to use his HRH title. And he's supposedly stepping away from royal life, and he's going to disappear from that, which is good. So there are now like sympathetic pieces about him in the press, about how sad he was when his mom took away his patronages, and how he was crying, and how William thinks that his uncle's heart is in the right place. It's outrageous.
Yeah. And personally, I don't even believe that it came as a shock to Andrew. I know people were disagreeing with me in the comments, but Andrew knows what's up. Like, he's a stupid man, but he's not that stupid.
He's a stupid man.
He understands that his mother had to do that. And in exchange, he probably asked for funding. That's my guess, that Andrew was able to instantly parlay that into money.
Instantly parlay. This is why you're such a good writer. So, speaking of how stupid Andrew is, this new documentary came out on ITV. It was called Ghislaine, Prince Andrew and the Pedophile. I think that's how they pronounce it in England. And in that documentary, we heard that Andrew kept stuffed bears, like teddy bears, on his bed as an adult. So not when he was like 10 or something. Because when I first read your headline before reading the story, I was like, oh, he was a petulant little bitch as a child. No, this is now, right? I did think that.
This was after his divorce from Fergie, when he went back and was living in Buckingham Palace with Mummy. And Ghislaine Maxwell was in and out of Buckingham Palace when Andrew was living there. And that was what the former royal protection officer said, was that when he had his suite at Buckingham Palace, that he kept like 50 to 60 stuffed animals on his bed.
And there was a certain way they had to be organized. And there was a laminated photo for the mates, because if the bears weren't put back correctly after they made the bed, he would freak out and get mad.
Uh-huh. It's a fucked up story.
It is messed up. And you and I were talking about this in our Google Doc, like writing to each other back and forth. I said, I don't judge anybody who has teddy bears in their 40s and 50s. Like, that's up to you, dude. You do you. As long as you're not, we know he's using them to abuse kids, though. And that puts another... Don't laugh. Jesus. You know what I mean?
But it was just funny. It's like, you do you, except he was doing it to most children.
Yeah.
No, It wasn't like that, though. I think it was just, I don't even know the backstory. I don't want to know the backstory on the teddy bears.
Okay, then let's talk about something else.
Yeah. 50 to 60 bears on your bed when you're in your 50s. No.
Also, you have to have them in a certain way. Like... Like, come on, you're not doing anything else. You could put him back. It's not like he has a lot of things to do all day.
And if it's like a real collection, put it somewhere else besides your bed.
Yes. Like, my mom had a few Steiff bears when we were growing up, and she had them in these cute little chairs and stuff like that she had around the house, and that was nice, but...
Yeah, lots of people have like creepy doll collections and that kind of shit. Don't put them on your bed.
I'll never forget. I went to this elderly lady's house. She was like a friend of my mom's friend or something. She had dolls all over her house. And like one room was just full of dolls. I was like, ooh, back it up.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't watch those Annabelle movies.
I've watched them. I saw that one Annabelle movie in the theater. The last one, I think it was in 2019, because I remember it was the summer of 2019, and I love going to those in the theater where everyone's scared at the same time and yelling.
That doll is fucking creepy.
It is really creepy. So we talked about the royals on Zoom, and here's a segment from that.
I literally laughed at the story about Charles said, "Oh, y'all come visit. Y'all can stay at my house. Yeah, we got the spare bedroom and I got the air mattress for the kids. It'll be fine." And I'm like, "Bitch, what?"
Whole house that you guys made them pay you for.
Yeah.
Why would they stay at your house?
Right. And then especially you expect me to trust you after you cut off my security and cut me off financially. But I'm going to stay in your house.
I'm not from the UK, don't know anything about their policing, but as someone here in the US who works with getting police for events and things like that, you absolutely can pay for it. It's not out of the ordinary.
They don't care. What difference does it make to them? If you're
Right, they're paying the bill if you're paying for it.
So it has to be the family telling them to say no, which makes this so insidious and dark.
This just makes me think about when Harry said in that Oprah interview how his dad pulled their security when they were in Canada and pulled the money. All of this was a ploy to get him to come back. Well, we're only going to protect you if you're here. But now he has the ability to protect himself. And of course, now you can't pay for it. Sorry. So it's all about making him feel powerless and making him feel like he needs them. And I don't know why they keep thinking he's going to blink, because he hasn't blinked yet.
And them trying to spin it all kinds of ways, like gaslighting. Oh, he doesn't really need protection. I'm glad he's saying, I'm not coming back until I get adequate protection.
And the fact that this is something that happened in September. They're so freaking obvious.
Yeah.
You leak this story because it's all this crap going around about Andrew. And you leak a story from September of the year before and think no one's going to go, that's curious.
I mean, and no matter what they leak about Harry, you're not going to bury the Andrew thing now. Like, it's just so absurd. Like the teddy bear thing. It just keeps getting worse and worse. It doesn't matter what you leak. You're not going to bury the craziness that is Prince Andrew.
So yeah, it's like Amira and Alnaz are saying, they're just trying to bury the Prince Andrew story, and they could not be more obvious about it.
Yeah, and obviously Harry knew the play. He was waiting for it. He had that statement locked and loaded, which I loved. I love that about him. He
probably wrote all of it right after it happened and just added the end part about the suspicious timing.
I loved that too.
Yeah.
That he called out the timing. Oh, that was perfect.
He did. He doesn't even have to say what it's about. Everybody knows.
Uh-huh. And you know what? That story about Harry, that got international press as well because he issued a statement. It wasn't like big primetime news like the Andrew story, but it got a lot of international attention.
Yeah. He knows what they're going to do now because their plays are so tired and old.
And that's why they're terrified of Harry and Meghan, honestly, because Harry and Meghan have access to American press. They're not beholden to the British press. What Harry and Meghan do gets international press. It scares the living daylights out of the Windsors.
They should be scared because they're 10 steps ahead of them. You know?
Yeah.
This week, William and Kate did an event, and this was Kate's first event in over a month since she did her little piano recital. They went to the Foundling Museum.
But incidentally, do you mind that I call it the piano recital? I don't want to call it like the Christmas Carol thing.
No, I mean, that's what it was. It was probably all arranged around her wanting to perform a little thing that she pre-taped and wore the same clothes for. I mean, we've talked about this already, but there's nothing wrong with you calling it that.
And like, that was the focus. That's all it was supposed to be for and about. It was just Kate and her little piano recital.
That's everything they do. That's Earth shot.
It's just an ego trip.
Yes. We didn't write this on our document, but Harry and Meghan sent food trucks to the MLK event at the Martin Luther King Center in Atlanta. They didn't pre-announce it. They didn't show up. They just did it. And that, again, shows how savvy they are. I mean, also how nice and what good people they are. But Will and Kate just do stuff so that they're centered. And Harry and Meghan think of the needs of the other people and center the charities.
And just like, how polite is Meghan she always thinks like, oh, I need to bring food to this event. You know, like that's what a good guest does. She's always thinking like, what can I do to make someone's life a little bit better? Here, I'll give them a gift card to Starbucks.
Yes, exactly.
You know, that kind of thing. And like Will and Kate don't have that politeness, that fundamental like niceness.
Because they were raised as rich assholes. Like that's what Kate's mom trained her to be, even though she technically wasn't in that class. I don't care, and I'm not trying to put her down for that, but I'm saying that she aspired to be aristocratic and does not have the politeness and kindness that comes with having to work for stuff.
Right.
Or have a real job.
Yeah, and the story that like still haunts me is the fact that William went to meet refugees and he didn't bring anything.
Yeah, he didn't.
Like they're all these little kids and they don't have anything, and he didn't bring anything to them. It's like it never would have occurred to him to do that. That would be a great thing to do, a nice thing to do.
But Kate can copy Meghan's every fashion and hairstyle, so maybe she should copy her charity too.
Yeah. And if Kate started copying that kind of shit, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I would point it out. I would say, well, yeah, Kate is copy keening, but thank God she is. Like, that's a good way to copy keen.
Yeah, it would be.
But yeah, so at this event this week, Kate, like, obviously copied Meghan's outfit from when Meghan launched her Hub Community Cookbook.
What was it called? The Community Cookbook?
Together,
yeah.
And then Kate did an event today with William, and she once again copied one of Meghan's looks, a very famous look from Meghan.
So we'll have those. You've probably already seen those pictures because we'll publish them in the future from now, but previous to when this podcast comes out.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. So there's a lot to this story. You've been following it, but basically Kanye has been complaining about very standard custody agreement that he has.
Yeah, Kanye and Kim's divorce isn't through. They're not completed at all, but they have a lot of stuff in place already. You know, Kim comes from a family of lawyers. She knows a lot of lawyers. She has her shit on lockdown.
She's training to be a lawyer, so she probably knows a lot from that too.
Right. And like, she understands that, like, okay, this is the time when I need to, like, really start setting boundaries and make sure that Kanye knows and the children know that this is mommy's time, this is daddy's time. Kim is setting very obvious boundaries with Kanye of, like, this is my home. You can't enter it at will. You can't do this. You can't do that. I think she's perfectly in the right. And I think Kanye is freaking out because he can't control Kim.
So he did an interview in Hollywood Unlocked, and he basically said that he wants to be able to go into Kim's house at will, and that she can't do this to him because he's the richest black man in America or something. He said, like, it was outrageous.
He said when her security stopped him from entering her home, that he sent his cousins over there to, like, verbally threaten Kim. And he was being very demeaning to Kim. He was calling her the baby mama, and it's not about co-parenting. You're my baby mama. I don't understand why people are climbing up Kim's ass about this. This, for me, is one of those times, much like when she was robbed at gunpoint in Paris, where I don't care how you feel about Kim and her family and the reality show. Like, she is being very publicly victimized.
It's obvious what Kanye's doing, and he's making it known that he's trying to manipulate her. And before that, he was being stalkerish and saying he wanted her back, but it was a power play.
Right. He bought a house across the street from her.
Yeah.
He's verbally threatening Pete. He has all these judgments about Kim's new relationship. Yeah.
We talked about this on Zoom this week, so here's an excerpt from that.
You know, it seems like it's just a way for him to be manipulative. Like, my daughter wanted me to come into her bedroom so she could show me something, and my bitch of an ex wouldn't let me into the house. It's like, there's a boundary. There's a boundary here.
That's Kanye West, who's not used to boundaries.
I mean, I am not a Kardashian fan at all. Like, that's scary for them. He's just so out of line. The fact that he just bought the house right there and is just randomly showing up.
Did you read what he said about her? Like this whole co-parenting thing. I'm not down with that. She's my baby mama.
Yeah.
He is 2 seconds away from needing to join Brad Pitt's father support group. When it comes to your kids not wanting to see you anymore. Like, he and Brad Pitt are going to need to form a support group of, I don't understand why my kid doesn't want to see me anymore. I'm a delightful person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees with you about Kim, like even people who are not normally on her side, at least everybody in our Zoom.
Yeah, it just fucking sucks. And I hate when people climb up her ass about stuff where it could be a teachable moment. It could be a moment where, like, oh, even Kim, with all of her fame and money and access, she's still being targeted by a toxic ex.
We've seen that with women who've been physically abused, too, where they get blamed for the abuse.
Exactly.
Even very rich women. And I don't mean rich, I mean women with access like Kim. You know?
Yeah. Women with privilege, women with money, and they're still being victimized.
Yeah.
By their exes and by the narrative, the celebrity gossip narrative.
All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my comment of the week is again about Meghan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly. Like, what is it with Meghan Fox? She goes out with guys with 3 names. I was thinking Brian Austin Green. I'm like, no, that's her last one. And he got her that engagement ring. So we talked about that last week. And this week, he gave an interview, Machine Gun Kelly.
To Vogue.
Yeah, gave an interview about the ring and how it was custom designed. It's emerald and diamond. I guess it's magnetic so that they stick together. But inside the band are also thorns, so it hurts. I hope this is not true, or it's just like little nubby things that don't do anything, because that's outrageous. Like, it's supposed to hurt when you take it off. What do you think about that?
I think he probably had little tiny thorns, like not big, whatever. It probably is designed so it's harder to take off than put on.
Okay, that's outrageous, especially when it's that expensive. Like, you don't want to be wearing that when you're working out or in the pool. But
right.
It's not very practical. So my comment of the week is from Colby, and they said, I saw a tweet the other day that said, quote, everything I've learned about Meghan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, I've learned against my will. And I felt that in my soul.
I just can't believe that she's acting this way. I mean, he's young. He's not that young, but he's younger than her. And I think he's just kind of a crazy pothead kind of guy.
Yeah.
But like, she's older. She's a mother of 3. She's already been through this like hectic, crazy marriage to Brian Austin Green. Like, girl, why are you doing this? Like,
yeah,
this is
it's
insane.
Outrageous. Like, I think they'll be married a couple years. I bet they'll go through with it, and they'll have like some over the top wedding with like a fairy goth theme. It'll be awesome. We'll see the pictures and everything. Yeah, they'll do videos and a ton of shit, and they'll have like a bunch of celebrity guests. And
I mean, that is one thing I do like about her relationship, is that she's being a lot more public and she seems a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's nice to see. It felt like she was in hiding a lot of the time she was married to Brian Austin Green because he hated publicity so much.
Yeah, he's a control freak, and I'm sure it wasn't easy to live with him either.
So, I mean, Meghan seems happier, but the relationship itself, it just seems really juvenile for her.
Yeah. It's fun to watch, though.
Yeah. All right, my comment of the week, just because I put so much stupid work into the Lena Dunham post.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I just want to say something, though. At least she didn't fucking write it.
Yeah, that's true. So she covers the Hollywood Reporter, most recent issue of the Hollywood Reporter, and the piece was obviously written by someone who stands her. Like, someone who really likes her and, like, admires her.
How is she getting the cover of the Hollywood Reporter?
She's got a movie coming out at Sundance. That's what it is.
Okay.
That she wrote and directed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no other Sundance person got the cover of the Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, this Hollywood Reporter cover story was bonkers. And Lena Dunham is such an energy vampire. She leaves me exhausted. And the whole piece was like just full of all these really crazy narratives about how she was in self-imposed exile in London. And then, oh, right, she moved back to Malibu in April 2020 and didn't tell anyone. And then there's this whole thing where she was talking about she came of age in the internet and, like, oh, you should feel bad for me because I didn't grow up with the internet or something like that. She's 35.
She was trying to explain her past racist statements in interviews too, not just online. Yeah. And she didn't say, I regret that, I'm trying to learn and grow. She said, everybody always criticizes me. I didn't know how the internet worked. And I used to not be able to breathe without saying sorry, right? That was what she said.
Yeah, and I was so young when I said all of that. She was in her 30s. All right, so, I mean, all the comments on that post were funny and like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that shit. And Beck said, okay, I just had to check how old she was because the way she was talking about the internet, she sounded like she was in her 40s or 50s. She's 35. So in her 20s and 30s, let's say the last 10 to 15 years, no, that was not the cusp of the internet becoming a thing. The internet has been a thing for years. Exactly.
Yeah, our site has been up 16 years in a couple weeks.
She's trying to play it like she's still this precocious young thing. And no, honey, you're not.
No. Can't believe she got all this press again. Like, I thought people realized she was not worth it. Like, she's at very least tiresome.
Remember when I wanted to die when I was covering that New York Times piece about her? And it was because she did that launch of a plus size clothing capsule, whatever. And it was just like 4 pieces of terrible clothing. And she got this huge write-up in the New York Times. That was just last year.
She's outrageous. Remember the interior design of her apartment?
Oh my God.
Like somebody threw up like pink.
It was so tacky.
Yeah.
She thought she was like so avant-garde because she was this knockoff John Waters bullshit.
It explains her fashion though, like if that's what her house looks like too.
She just has no style.
Is she still even with her husband or whatever, that guy she married? Because if she...
Yeah.
Okay.
Louis something or other. Yeah, he made a vague like drive-by appearance in the Hollywood Reporter story.
Okay. Thanks for reading that. Sorry.
I should have gotten hazard pay for that shit. I was exhausted after reading it.
I'm so sorry. All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.